Hi, it's Yvette from Healing and Hypnotherapy. Today on Coffee with Yvette, the wonderful Laura Whitworth joins us. Laura is a clinical hypnotherapist. She's a quantum healer that specializes in spirit releasement therapy. She's a Reiki practitioner too. She's also developed her own unique regression technique, Soul Centre Healing Hypnosis, that we're going to talk to her about today. Laura is also an author. She writes many books, particularly aimed at young adults with regard to the ascension and sci-fi. But she's also written an awesome book on hypnotherapy that accompanies her course on Soul Centre Healing Hypnosis. So pop the kettle on and come and join us, and we'll have a chat with Laura. Hi, Laura. It's great to see you here. How are you?
Oh, I'm really good. How are you?
I'm brilliant, thank you. This has been long awaited, long awaited.
I know it's been a while since we saw each other last, isn't it?
It has. Now, I've gone through your resume. Unbelievable. You're like Superwoman. You really are like Superwoman. You're a mum of 2 young girls. You have got your own business, quantum healer specializing in entity removal, regression therapies. You've even now developed your own therapy, your own hypnosis therapy, which is just incredible, as well as being an author. But tell us about your quantum Soul Centre quantum healing.
Of course.
Sorry, I got all the initials wrong then, didn't I?
No, it's
Soul
fine.
Centre
It's
Healing
absolutely fine.
Hypnosis.
It is a bit of a mouthful, I must say. And you know, when you hear people talking about it, they have to really, really concentrate and go SCHH, SCHH. So the reason that I developed Soul Centre Healing Hypnosis was because I was a quantum healer for many years. You and I trained together.
Yes.
But what I found, and I know you found this the same, is that you would get many clients that would come and see you and something was different.
Yes.
And you couldn't progress those clients into the theta state. They would not relax. They were very jumpy. Some would say that they were in pain all of a sudden.
Yes.
You'd start regressing them. They'd all of a sudden say, I've got a pain in my foot, or I've got a pain in my leg, or I feel really anxious, or I need the toilet.
Classic, wasn't it? I need the toilet. Yeah. As if that's going to stop us.
And they'll say, is it normal for me to feel angry at this point? And you know, as a new practitioner, you sat there thinking, what am I doing wrong?
Yes.
You know, I'm supposed to be regressing these people and making them feel relaxed enough to enter the theta brainwave state, and they're feeling angry.
Yes.
And so I started to really consider what that meant. And then one day I had a lady come and see me in my office, and she, unbeknownst to me, because I didn't even know what this was at the time, she had a demon attached.
Right.
And we were halfway through a session, and she went into a really low frequency lifetime, which was, you know, there was some really quite disturbing things going on. In this lifetime. And then all of a sudden, this demon came from nowhere, started swearing at me, cussing at me, spitting at me, telling me to go away. You know, we don't want you here. You know, you're not allowed to do this. And me just being trained in quantum healing at that point, I was thinking, what is this?
Yeah, I'm out of my depth.
Because you're not given any training.
No training,
that, are you?
No.
And so at that point, I was like, okay, I dealt with it as best as I could.
Yes.
With what I have inside.
Intuitively.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Thank God
Thank God for that. It's your own intuition. But I went away and I read everything that I could possibly find on demonic possession, entity release, spirit releasement therapy, life between lives.
So interesting, isn't it? So interesting when you go down that rabbit hole.
And the near-death experiences as well that people report, the things that they experience on the other side, and they come back. And I just devoured all of it. And then the next time I had a client that came in with something like that, I felt better able to deal with it.
Yes, you've got that information.
Yeah, and then over time, I've just realized that you deal with earthbound spirits in a different way than how you deal with the demonic ones. And then with more experience, you start to be able to notice from your client's paperwork whether it's likely you're going to have one or not.
It's key, isn't it, the paperwork?
And then when you see them for the pre-session chat, which is the very first part of the session that you do when you're trying to understand the journey of your client, so that you can help them the best that you can within the session.
Yeah.
Then I started to notice key indicators within the pre-session chat that would tell me that someone's got an entity, and also things going on with their physical body, and things like brain fog and candida overgrowth and bowel problems. That's normally indicative of an entity that is attached. So over time, I built all of this knowledge up. And then I started using this when people would come and see me, and they would ask for a QHHT session. I would speak to them in the pre-session chat, and I'd say, well, I know you've asked for QHHT, but I feel that there may be some energy work that we need to do today. And I will need to use a different technique for that. Are you happy for me to do that? Client would say yes. And then before you know it, I've developed this new technique. And then I went online with it because obviously the lockdown. And then I just spent so much time honing that technique in the online space, because the online space is very different to face to face.
Yes, it is.
And that's where we are now, I guess.
So how did this come to you? Was this something that was, you went to bed and it was downloaded? Was it a gradual technique or something that you channeled?
I think very much this was given to me from the higher realms.
Yeah.
Very, very much. Because it flowed through so easily, and the actual manual itself, albeit I had to put the time in to physically write it in the third dimensional space. Yeah, the manual. It just flowed so easily.
Yes.
There was no resistance. It was beautiful.
Yes.
And obviously I'd come to certain conclusions in my own personal experience of doing this.
Of course,
that the entity release needs to be at the front end, and so that you can then remove the entities, so you can get the client into that really
absolutely
state. And for me, I just absolutely knew that I wanted part of my technique to be in a crystal cavern.
Yes.
Because for somebody that spent so much time in inner earth and in these crystal caverns, and knowing how that can affect you and how it can raise your vibration so you can meld with those higher parts.
When I read that, Laura, my heart absolutely expanded. So all the years that I've been doing Reiki, when I put my hands near somebody, or whether it's remote, the first place I go to, we're in a crystal cavern. We're in there. So I literally see the client raised on a crystal bed, and floating upwards, but within this crystal cavern. So as soon as I read that, I thought, oh my God, the energies and it's true. Anybody that I've ever done a session with, that's the bear. And like you say, the crystals are such high frequency. Just by walking through that portion of the technique is incredible. I love it.
It is. And the beauty of that, as well as the past life regression technique, is crystals are everywhere. They're on every planet, every dimension, every space. They have an aspect of themselves in every dimension. So you can use those crystals as a tool as well.
Yes. Yeah, perfect. So tell us about the sessions. How do they differ to other sessions?
Yeah. So with a Soul Centre Healing Hypnosis session, they will potentially be a little bit shorter in length than a quantum healing session, only because I try to keep it an hour at the front end. So with quantum healing, that conversation is literally however long it takes. But what I try to educate and train the practitioners to do is to do a lot of work at the front end on the paperwork with the client, and conversations with the client before the client comes. So when you've got that hour before, you're getting the rest of the information that you need. And then the session itself will last around 2 hours. And then you'll probably have a half an hour wash up after that time.
Wonderful.
And how it differs is within the Soul Centre Healing Hypnosis technique is we will do an entity release at the beginning of the session.
At the start.
So you can clean up the client's energy field, take all of the entities off, any earthbound spirits, any demonic, any energy parasites. And then once you've done that, you can then do another deepener with the client and take them really deep within that crystal cavern. And then you're going to get the best theta experience. And potentially they will end up melding with a higher part of their multidimensional self than they would have done if you'd have managed to get them in.
Just go straight in. Yeah. So am I right in thinking, obviously I've done your training, it was absolutely wonderful. So when we go through the first section, that when we go into that beautiful garden, of course that's the emotions. So that tells us an awful lot, doesn't it, about what's going on with the client. And I know certainly from my experience with Soul Centre Healing is that if I've got something that's particularly dark and heavy and sneaky, it's quite a nice word, but sneaky, sometimes I'll have something happen in that garden that as a practitioner I'm thinking, that's got to be demonic, it has to be, but it won't manifest itself there. And what I love about your technique is that there are 2, 3, possibly more opportunities to pick up on those entities, and when you've got a dark, sneaky character that's attached, sometimes it is towards the end that we pick it up, but there will always be something in that emotional aspect of the garden that alerts us, a darkness, or there's just something about the colors or the lack of things that are being seen there. And that's what I love about it. It just gives so much more information, so much more.
It's an indicator, isn't it? And that garden represents the state of mind of the client.
Absolutely.
And at that point, if there is an entity attached, that garden is representative of the joint consciousness of the entity and the client.
Yes.
So without the entity being attached, the garden might appear to the client as being beautiful, idyllic, a beautiful rolling meadow. Yeah. But if they're bringing that entity into the session, and that's joined onto their energy fields and therefore their consciousness, then the garden may be grey. There may be no life in the garden. The flowers or the plants may be dying.
Dead. Yep.
So it's giving you an indicator.
You're like, it's not quite right, is it?
But it also tells you a lot about that client's state of mind. So it could be an entity, or it could be that's how they're feeling about their life in general at the moment.
Yes, just a general mood.
Or it could be an indicator that there's some trauma in there that you need to hunt out and identify and help them heal. Because if they are seeing a garden that is not idyllic at that point, then there's some investigative work that
absolutely. It should be like the Garden of Eden, shouldn't it, really? If they're on form, if they're on top, Garden of Eden, anything other, something not quite right there. And with some of the other methods that are out there, we get to talk to the higher self or the soul or other aspects. Can we do that with Soul Centre Healing? Still get to talk to them?
Yeah, absolutely. So the technique itself is entity release at the front end.
Yeah.
Then we do the past life regression, so the quantum travel, and then we bring the higher self through, just as we would do with quantum healing or any other technique like that.
Yes.
So you get all of it.
Yes.
All of it within one modality.
Perfect. And what sort of problems is Soul Centre Healing brilliant for? What would you say people usually come to you? What sort of problems are they coming to you with? Is it a whole array, or do you find quite a niche of problems that people coming to you with to sort out?
So I get a bit of everything really, because the technique itself can heal everything.
It's very sophisticated, isn't it?
Soul Centre Healing Hypnosis. So many people that come to see you, and you will know this, before you can actually even get them into the quantum space, they've got a lot of healing that they need to do regarding this lifetime.
Absolutely.
And this may be trauma that they need to talk about, bring up and release. And that trauma may have impacted their energy centers, which then's allowed an entity to attach. So it's like different layers of the onion. So you have to deal with the first layer first, heal that, and then you can go further out into the quantum space and look at the past lives. And I always use the analogy of the tree. That's why my logo is the tree.
I love that. Yes, I love that analogy.
If that is your soul, if that is the fullness and the richness of your soul that just is, the tree just is, and all of that exists at the same time. And if your lifetime that you're living now is a twig on that tree, then they want you to heal that twig first before they're going to let you travel further around the tree.
Absolutely.
And that makes sense, doesn't it?
Yes.
No, it does make sense that you should actually heal your own lifetime.
Exactly.
First.
And I've certainly, I've come across cases where people have been absolutely, no, everything's fine, healed. And to the point where sometimes in the pre-chat, they might not even mention something, but actually when you get into that hypnotic state, what you're picking up on are problems in this lifetime that need healing, that need deep healing, and that's equally as important. We've got to work holistically, haven't we?
And many people will have repressed memories as well, won't they?
Yes,
So
yeah,
they're
of
not
course.
even consciously
Yeah.
aware of
Yes.
the memory that's causing them problems in this
Yeah.
life.
Yeah.
It's not until you take them into that brainwave state that the memory will come up, because it's been
Yes.
kept in a little room, in a little box
Exactly.
in the back of the head.
Subconscious trying to keep them safe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
the subconscious goes, right, now's the time that they need to look at this. And so for some people, they might not even know. As a practitioner, you might not have any clue that there's any form of trauma going on in this individual's life until you literally get them into the hypnotherapy.
Yeah, absolutely. And I've certainly had it where somebody's completed all the paperwork, absolutely no emotions whatsoever, ticked on the box, absolutely nothing. And then you get into hypnosis and you think, holy moly.
Yeah.
But you didn't tick anything,
Yeah.
So sometimes it can be caught out a little bit, just a little bit.
Yeah.
So I know I put out to my Telegram group if there was any questions that they would like to ask you, and there were a few that came back with some questions. One of them was a bit of concern: can anybody be hypnotized? Can anybody be hypnotized, or just some people have problems?
So I feel that anybody and everybody.
100%.
Yeah, I feel that everybody
I would
can.
say that. Yeah.
But there's different stages and levels, and you know this as
Yes.
well because you're so experienced. It's with certain people, they need a bit more coaching. They
Yes.
need a bit more coaching to understand how the hypnotherapy will feel.
Yes.
How they will experience it. And you also have to work out for that individual as well what kind of person they are. Do they see things visually?
Yes.
Do they see
Auditory.
things? Yeah.
Yeah, kinesthetic.
Yeah, or do they taste things? I've literally taken people through sessions where they've tasted all the way through it. And
well, the interesting thing is, Laura, I mentioned before when we were chatting previously about human design. So the human design element is something really interesting to look at because it tells you what your superpower is. How interesting is that? And some people's superpower is taste. Some people's superpower would be smell. Some people's superpower will be inner vision. So it's quite handy to know what your human design superpower is. Just so you can turn it when you come up to a session, you can say, I smell. Makes it a lot easier for us, doesn't it? A lot easier.
At least then we know. And, I always try to ask people before they book in with me, can you visualize?
Yes.
Because it is a requirement of the session that you are able to, up to a certain level, be able to visualize. And if they say no, I'll give them a guide for them to take away and work with. And it does work. And
that.
For some people that are really resistant clients, I have found the way in with them is memory recall.
Yes. Yes.
Because you'll get some people that say, I just can't do it. You tell me to, imagine a flower and I just can't do it.
Yes.
But then if you say to them, I want you to go back to a happy childhood memory where you're in a space where there's
find it.
There's flowers, and they'll find it. And then you take them back through that memory recall, just taking them back and back and back until at a certain point they just pop into a past life anyway.
Yes, just do it naturally.
Yeah.
Just do it naturally.
They realise, I can do it.
Yes.
It's just they think they can't.
Absolutely. I know a technique I've used where, when we've figured out if they're auditory, kinesthetic or whatever, if I've said to somebody, can you see a specific thing, red flower? If they can't, if they're kinesthetic, can you touch one? Do you know what one feels like to touch? And like you said, somebody went through the whole session smelling the session. Sometimes they can just feel it. They don't actually see, but they feel everything, and that works well too. Yeah.
And also saying to them, have you ever seen a red flower? Do you know what one is? Of course I know what a red flower is. Well, tell me. I don't know. Tell me what it is.
As if I don't know.
Yeah, and they'll say, well, it's just a flower. It's got petals. Well, describe a petal. What does a petal look like? And you lead them through that. What's the texture? What's the smell? And before you know it, and you say to them again, can you see a red flower?
They've done it automatically.
Yeah, they can. Yeah. So all it takes, I feel, for people is just a bit of one-on-one bespoke time to them to work out how they are going to experience
how they work. Yes.
Yeah. And once you've done that, you can get anybody and everybody in. Anybody and everybody.
That's beautiful. Beautiful. How long, so your sessions with Soul Centre Healing, Laura, how long do they generally last for?
Between 3.5 and 4 hours.
Lovely, lovely.
Yeah.
And how long are they in hypnosis for with that?
Maximum 2 hours.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maximum 2 hours.
That's what I find, Laura, about 2 hours, and you know, they've had enough of that.
It's too exhausting, isn't it?
It can be very tiring.
Yeah, that theta, and they will feel it the next day. They'll be absolutely exhausted.
Yeah.
So 2 hours maximum, I would say. And I know other techniques that they'll keep them in up to 4 hours. And I think,
it's a long time, isn't it? It's a long time. Yeah.
Yeah.
And emotional as well. You know, if you're doing deep healing and emotional healing, you know, to be there for 4 hours is a long time. But I'm exactly the same. You know, 1.5 to 2 hours, depending on the client's needs. Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. And what if somebody? Another question. It did make me smile. What if somebody wants the bathroom? What if they want to go? What are you going to do?
Oh, that's fine. Yeah, they can go.
Yes,
they can go to the
absolutely.
bathroom. And what we say is just treat it as you do in the middle of the night. You know, you stumble to the bathroom in the middle of the night, and you sit there, and you have your bathroom break, and then you shuffle back into bed, and you get all tucked back down again, and then you just go. Sometimes you go straight back into the same dream, don't you?
Yes, yes.
And the beauty of doing the Soul Centre Healing Hypnosis, if you decide to do it in the online space, is that clients are in their own home.
Yes.
They know their own
know
home.
Where they're going.
Yeah.
Like that nighttime journey.
Yeah. They can literally do it with their eyes shut. So they go to the toilet, they come back in, right, I'm ready, boom. Straight back in.
Yeah. And do you find, I find when they do that actually, you know, if you say, you know, when you open your eyes, when you go back down, you go even deeper. And actually they go even deeper and like you say, straight back to wherever they left off.
Yeah, because it's learned behavior. Behavior. They do it every single night.
Yeah.
Every single night.
Fantastic. Fantastic. Let's have a look on here. What else have we got? Most interesting. What's the most interesting session you've ever had?
I've had so many interesting sessions. It's really, really difficult for me to answer that one. But for me personally, I find the most interesting sessions when it goes into inner earth.
Yes, that's your thing.
Yeah, I really, really love the inner earth sessions.
Yes.
And I guess particularly for me as well, when my husband has done sessions. And just to start off with, when I first started doing this stuff, he wasn't really into it.
No.
I don't think he really believed in a lot of it.
I just ignore to it.
Yeah, but he was one of my first guinea pigs. And so I'd be like, come on, we're having our weekly session. And some of the stuff that he would come out with in sessions just used to blow my mind.
Yes.
But also because the female that was in that he was with was me.
Was you?
As well.
And
he would get these incredible sessions, but then he'd come out and he just wouldn't believe it. He'd be like, well, no. I don't know what all that was about.
But do you know what? If you gave him a pen and paper, in a billion years, he wouldn't write that story, would he?
No.
He wouldn't have done.
And as time's gone on, and he's woke up himself now.
Yeah.
And now he totally gets it. And now he's the one that's like, oh, are we gonna have a session? You know, let's find out some more.
Cost you.
Yeah. So I always find the inner earth stuff particularly interesting for me.
Yes.
And also the galactic stuff.
I know, I love it.
And anything about ascension. About ascension.
Yeah.
That for me is my and you know, the earth lives are interesting as well. But I don't know if you're finding this, but I don't tend to get that many of them anymore.
No. I'll sometimes in sessions I will get the odd one, you know, if there's just a little bit of healing that needs doing, but on the whole it tends to be intergalactic things to do with, I still get a lot of things to do with the pyramids, you know, connecting blue lights, blue flame of Amenti just the other day. And what I love about it is the clients lay there telling me hasn't got a clue, and I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah, you know what's happening.
She's like, it's what? I love it. But you know, it's amazing, isn't it? The stuff that we read about, the knowledge that we have, it makes sense to us in sessions. But of course, it helps the clients enormously as well, which is why they're being shown that. I love it. I absolutely love it.
And they'll come out and go, have you heard of Osiris? Or have you heard of... and you're like, yeah. I've heard of that.
Absolutely. Oh, now what about this? Must be quite hard as well. What about the funniest sessions?
The funniest sessions I feel are oftentimes the sessions that are channeled.
Yes.
but also the sessions that go into the fae, sort of the fairy realms. I absolutely love those because the fairy energy is so joyful, so playful, and they're often playing tricks on each other. One of my favourite sessions, and you actually witnessed this,
I did,
in terms of it being funny.
I know what you mean.
Was on a course that I ran for SCHH. The client that we had, who was also on the course, channeled a part of himself that was just superb, but the funniest voice, how he spoke, how he talked, and he'd been waiting in the shadows in the garden.
Yes.
For the opportunity to be able to speak.
Yeah. That was incredible.
And funny in terms of making me laugh. A lot of the time, the channeled sessions, when they just start talking, and you've got no warning, you just slowly and quietly taking them in, and then they'll just start talking. Boom. And makes you jump a foot.
I know. I remember the first time that ever happened to me, ever. And I swear, I was looking around the room. I thought, there has to be a camera in this room. I must be on some sort of, show that's but it was incredible. You do get used to it once you got over that jump, and but
I get lots of those now. I get so many channeled. There seems to be more and more people channeling.
Yes,
that definitely seems.
But do you think that's because with the ascension, people's frequencies are rising, and so that connection's much easier? So in theta, of course, they're going to make that connection. Yeah.
And sometimes it's the first time that they've done it before. Yes. And they will come out and go, what was that?
And that can be exhausting for them, can't it? The first time they channel, or when the energy is rushing through, it's like, just breathe, just breathe. Yeah. Incredible. Yeah. So you're removing, these energies, entities. How do you protect yourself and the client, for that matter?
Yeah. So in terms of protecting the client, what we do right at the front end of the technique is we put them in a white light protection bubble. Beautiful. And we also bring the archangels through to provide protection for them, specifically as we go through the session. So I'll always bring Archangel Michael through, who represents the divine masculine, Kuan Yin, who for me represents divine feminine, and I'll bring Raphael through, because Raphael's the ultimate healer that everybody needs to have, because he's amazing. And then Uriel, Azrael, Zadkiel, I work with those guys as well, and Gabriel. So I'll bring all of those in, and that provides protection for them. But in terms of extra additional protection for the client, they need to specifically ask their guides prior to a session.
Yes.
You make sure that you provide that space for me today, that protection space, so that nothing can enter unless it's for my highest and best good. I would also recommend gridding the house with crystals. So a piece of black tourmaline in the corners with a quartz point going into the tourmaline. Yes. I have every kind of protection stone known to man.
Mine's there, look. Can you see?
Yeah, I've got the same.
My
there
obsidian.
We go.
Love my obsidian. Oh, there you go. I love a good obsidian.
So I have obsidian. I have
your tourmaline. I love that, Laura. I love that.
It's so heavy. I have shungai.
Yes.
Shungai. I always wear, when I'm working, a tourmaline wrapped in copper and a clear quartz point.
Beautiful.
Bowls of salt in the corners, and diffusing frankincense and myrrh, and your tip, which you gave me. In fact, you gave me
my lemons up there, look.
Yeah, 2 incredible tips. The Yvette Shepherd tip is have a lemon. Because
it works beautifully.
Yeah. If it rots quickly.
I know. I told you about the session I had, didn't I? With it was King
Arthur.
King Arthur. It was King Arthur. Yes. And actually, when I did a bit of research there, it turns out there were 2 King Arthurs, and one was put through in history and the other one wasn't. Now, I don't know which I was talking to, but he was evil. He was very evil, but he rotted that lemon literally. Within minutes it was just rotten. It was unbelievable.
Isn't that incredible?
I know. And the thing was, because I check it after every session. Yeah. And I was walking by the door, and my guide said lemon. What are you talking about? Lemon's fine. Lemon. And it was a beautiful big organic lemon, and I lifted it over, and I swear I thought maggots were going to crawl out of it. I thought, oh my God, it was like some horrific Disney movie, where the evil walks by and rots all the fruit. Oh my God, great lemons sage in the house and everything. But it's really important, isn't it, for us to keep on top of that? Whether we're doing remote work or people are coming into our houses, it's all energy. It makes no difference whether it's in person, but we have to protect our environment. We have to use the sphere of light or the pyramid of lights, or and crystals are amazing. Yeah.
Really are.
But what about you? Do you do the salt baths and all that sort of thing as well for your auric field?
Yeah,
Sage yourself.
I have to get in the bath. The second
Yes.
I have connected with anyone's energy, I have to get in the bath. I have to immerse myself in Epsom salts for me. But Neil's Yard as well also do some really great bath salts.
Yeah,
It's got frankincense in.
Yes.
And then I'll put some high qualities like frankincense or myrrh oil in that bath as well. I've got crystals all around my bathroom. So I will literally connect to the crystals and say, please, can you cleanse my auric field? Help me. After some of the sessions I have, I'm like, oh my God, please help me.
I have a tree. You'll resonate with this. So I've got this beautiful tree. I have started growing things. I'm getting better at this, but I've never really got green fingers apart from herbs. And I've got the most beautiful eucalyptus tree, which of course is native to Australia. It shouldn't really be in the UK. It's massive. Wow. But this tree, after a session, I go out into the garden and I hug this tree, and he's got such a big trunk now. And I feel him just take that energy away. It's beautiful. I don't know what I would do without that tree. I don't know.
So do you use that eucalyptus like in the shower? Do you?
I do. Yeah. And I also, it's sometimes instead of sage, so when the tree surgeon comes just to give him a trim for me, I ask him to keep it's a haircut, ask him to keep, and I dry out the leaves, wrap it up and burn those, and that's beautiful too. That can work really well with the energies, just to get rid of them. I love it. Yeah.
And how often do you sage your work area?
So I'm quite specific. Although saying that, I do use my own discernment. So it depends what sort of session I've had. So if I've had a session where I think that was particularly low frequency, that we were removing the energies, or some tough healing that somebody was doing, then I'll sage big time. I tend to. So let me just. Oh, hang on a minute. I'll just get my bowl of sage and show you.
Because I find when I use sage, it dries my throat out so much. So
what I've started doing lately, because I used to have a bunch of sage. But what I've done, in fact, it was Mark. Have you heard of Mark Bajerski? He's brilliant. No. Yeah, he's a great guy, healer, brilliant. But he said, get yourself a wooden one. It won't burn. So what I do is I get loose sage. So I've got loose in there. But I also add a bit. I've got some organic myrrh resin and frankincense powder. That I then sprinkle in that and then set it on fire. So this is ready for the next time, next client. And then I just set that on fire and then I waft around. I don't always use sage, so I'll use this at least once a week, or if I get an entity or something really low frequency. Otherwise, I will just put the frankincense and myrrh. I've got a little pot. You have to use what are they called? I'm trying to think now what they're called. It's like a little black charcoal, that's the word. A little black charcoal disc, such a simple word, charcoal disc. And then you put your frankincense and myrrh on top, because it's resin and powder, and then light the charcoal. And it's the heat of the charcoal that then burns smoke. So I'm guessing that's what they used to do in churches, with the big lamps that they waft. That must be on a charcoal pad. I think that's how they get it to burn.
And it doesn't burn that bowl when you burn
it? No, so this doesn't. No, it doesn't burn the bowl. It's odd, isn't it? It doesn't burn the bowl. It just gets hot and warm, and it means I can hold it like this.
Yeah.
Because if I use I used to have one of the shells, but it gets so hot, it's difficult to hold. So I use a bowl like this, but then I've just got a little metal pot for when I use the frankincense and myrrh. But I have to do that daily. I do that daily, because if I'm having people in here daily, it's those energies, whether they're coming in for reiki or regression or teaching, I'll always sage afterwards, to some degree.
And I know you see a lot of people face to face, but do you do that same routine? Say, for example, you've had a day doing online.
Yes, I do me. So I do me is what I do. So if I've had a day doing online work, then what I do is I sage my aura. So I've connected my aura to theirs.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking I've just experienced, and that's the other thing. I remember doing some work with Greg Braden, and he said, our bodies. So when we're doing sessions, everything that our client goes through, we go through. Our mind doesn't know the difference. It thinks we've just gone through that trauma in the same way they have. So we have to remember, you know, and we remember about our auric field, you know, we have the salt baths and all that, but hand on our heart and tell ourselves we are loved and we are safe. Really, really important. And then just get yourself, you know, I'm loved and safe. You know, that wasn't me. I'm loved and safe. Just until your heart rate is completely normal. Otherwise, your adrenal glands are just running on full pelt all the time. You know, in that fear state. So we have to calm that down. But I also use the tuning forks. That's really good. Yeah. So I'll all around my aura. And I like to use those in sessions as well, actually. Lately that works well when I'm doing your technique. I'll do that just because it gives them you know, if they're bringing a color in, you know, your technique, when we bring the colors in, and I'll just say, you know, I'm just going to strike the ancient tuning fork, healing tuning fork, and see that color. And that's nice. Even online you can hear it, you know, through the microphone. It works really well.
May I have your permission to use that?
Oh, you go for it. You may.
I've got some little Tibetan bells, and I've got some tuning forks. That's an excellent idea, because it really brings life into it for them, doesn't it?
It does. It's just and if you've got somebody that's auditory, boom, that's really powerful, really powerful.
Wow. I love that.
Yeah. I love it. It works well. So tell me about, because then you decided to start training people. So you developed this wonderful technique, and then you're thinking, oh, I'm just going to get out of my comfort zone a bit more. And I'm going to teach people. So tell me about that. What happens there?
Well, I'm connected quite well with these guys up here, and they will. How they get through to me is they'll just keep repeating things over and over and over and over again until you're like, oh God,
I'll do
okay. But after I moved into the online space, they told me that the reason I had to do that was for me to experience it first.
Right.
Experience all the things what not to do.
Okay. The way we learn best.
And, you know, filter all of that out. Work out a way that is the best practice way to operate in the online space as a practitioner of this type of technique, and then go out there and provide that tool to other people. Fabulous. Because at this point in time, it's the most significant time for cleaning up all of these entities, because so many of them are coming up, aren't they? I mean, people that don't even believe in entities are coming to people in crystal shops and different places where spiritual people hang around, saying, you've got to help me. Something's happening. You know, we noticed something in the house, and now my husband's acting strange. He's angry all the time. And these energies and entities are being purged from wherever it is that they were before, and they are attaching specifically to the people who are the lighter energies.
They are.
And I don't seem to come across any clients at the moment that don't have some form of energy that needs to be taken off.
I know, absolutely. I'm finding the same. At least 9 out of 10. I would say two out of those, you know, if you had 10, 2 out of those 10 clients would have an awareness that something wasn't right, and that's why they've booked. The majority of people don't know that they've got anything attached.
But that's changed, hasn't it? Because it wasn't like that years ago.
No, it wasn't. We used to get all the you know, we still do get the fairies, but we were getting all those sorts of things come through, you know, and the odd entity. We got the odd one, didn't we? Like, oh, another one, you know, every now and again. Not every session, you know, not every session.
But something is obvious. And is it that people are becoming more aware now that there is this dissonant, low-level negative energy attached to them because their frequency is rising?
Absolutely.
Is that what it is?
It has to be, doesn't it? It has to be to have that awareness. Yeah.
So these things have always been there.
Yes.
And they were the clients that we just thought, oh, we couldn't get them under hypnosis. You know, we couldn't progress them.
And they've got an attachment.
As time's gone on, and that individual still starts raising their frequency, but they've got this, you know, ball and chain that's keeping them bound.
Literally, yes.
Yeah, and the level of change that you see with people when you remove the entities, I mean, it is just
incredible, isn't it?
It's life-changing.
I know.
Life-changing.
Absolutely. I had a lady come to see me. So I did a session a year ago, and then she came back to see me again. She'd just got she was like a different woman, different, and awakened, which was wonderful because she was talking blah, 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 about everything that's going on. I know.
Yeah.
But it was wonderful to see the change, and then to do a Soul Centre healing session for her. And just incredible. I love it. But that's what it's there for, isn't it? You know, to remove those lower energies that no longer serve, never did, let's face it. And just allow them to be who they are. It's wonderful. Or to carry on that journey, what they came here for.
And for some people, they've never actually known their true self of who they are, because they've had these energies attached from birth.
Yes. Yeah. Very possible.
Yeah. And so they'll report, oh my God, I've got so much space now. I feel like I've got so much space within my body.
Yeah.
And, you know, it seems to take me a lot of time to respond to something when somebody asks me a question, because I'm used to something else responding for me.
Yes. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And, you know, a situation that would happen before where I know I would be angry and it would trigger me, I'm kind of stood back now going, oh, I'm waiting for this part of me that steps in and it doesn't step in. And they're like, it's changed my life. It's changed my life, because I don't react in that way anymore.
Exactly.
And, you know, the people that feel really high levels of anxiety.
Yeah.
And it's normally because they've got one of those parasites that's wrapped around their spine, or
you
know, one of those snake worm type things, or they've got earthbound spirits.
Weighing them down.
You take all of those off, and then they just feel amazing, and they can finally raise the vibration and get to grips with who they are.
Yes.
So I feel that this technique is, I mean, I obviously feel very, very passionately about it, but I feel that this technique is the way forward for healing.
Yes,
for the awakened population.
Yeah, it is the quantum healing, isn't it? It is. Absolutely.
Because we don't want to rely on big pharma. We're not interested in any of that. Any healing in the physical body can normally be tracked back to something that has started in the energetic body, which has initially started with, you know, an emotion being felt over a trauma or something like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
If people had more awareness of how important their energetic body is, oh my God, you know, they would be living their lives totally differently.
Wouldn't they? So differently. Absolutely.
Like before you go to the supermarket, get your white bubble on.
Now I've taken it off now because I thought I dared wear that in front of Laura. She'll think I'm putting it on for her. So at first I had, you know, my beautiful obsidian, and then I've also got one, a lovely lady. I don't know by Tessa. I must find out the company's name, but it's an orgone. So very much like your mum makes, but orgone, and it has a black flame in it. So, and it's got all different black crystals within it, and then the black flame. Just so that when I go out and about into La La Land, when I'm out at the supermarket or wherever, it reminds me, my auric field automatically does it. It will bring itself in when I need to be, you know, cloaked, and then it will expand when I'm in a place where I can expand. But this black flame necklace, it does the job. It's brilliant. I walk out and I think I'm fine. And it's almost like I'm invisible. You know, I can walk around, not that I try not to go to supermarkets, but if I had to, it used to bother me a lot to walk around, and I used to be picking up on all those energies and think, oh, I don't like it. I can feel the energy attaching and, you know, all of that. But actually when I'm wearing those, and obsidian as well, and tourmaline would do the same, wouldn't it? The difference is unbelievable. And in fact, my husband, my son, both wear shungite or tourmaline. We even got our joiner wearing it. So I had all these lovely bookshelves and the joiner's, he's wide awake, he's brilliant. And I was talking to him and he was saying he was getting all these symptoms around certain people. And I said, have you tried tourmaline? So we got him a tourmaline and he went, that is fantastic. That stuff is a lifesaver. He loves it. And then he bought another two for another friend. But it's incredible. The crystals are just, like, you cannot underestimate the power of them. They are living, breathing entities that just bring so much to us and the planet, don't they? They do.
They're like your friends, aren't they?
I know.
And you know, I at the moment, I've been sleeping with 2 huge shungite spheres.
Oh, beautiful.
And for me, I have to have the shungite around me. I don't know what it is about shungite. Yes. Obviously, it blocks the EMF and it's a protection stone. But I have to have one at my back and one at my front. And I can't sleep unless I've got those there. But then recently, I bought a rose quartz that's that big.
Oh, wow.
And I have to hug that.
love that. That's beautiful.
And that's the only way I could go to sleep. And in the middle of the night, you maim yourself because you roll over. You're like, oh God, oh, all in the back. Yeah, massive rose quartz in the face.
Oh,
but they do.
But
they help you, don't they?
they're incredible. I tell you what, I ordered, and I'm waiting patiently with love and gratitude for them because I've been waiting 4 months now. But so a lovely lady in Russia. So Shungai, it's from Russia, isn't it? And it's sort of a square, it's a telephone holder. So I do turn my phone off at night. It's not in the room, but I'm very aware that, you know, my grown-up children keep theirs on at night. And, and so like this, that? Yes, that's it. I've ordered 5 of those. Yes. But I ordered them 4 months ago and I was very happy to wait. I think she said 10 weeks. I was waiting for them, you know, as you do.
Yeah.
And then, you know, all this whatever is happening in La La Land somewhere. So I'm waiting patiently for them, but I can't wait to get them. I can't wait to get them.
I'm obsessed with Shungai.
I love it. Did you see the research? And forgive me, I don't remember who did it, but on the bees with Shungai. So you know how the EMF and 4G, 5G, it was disorientating the bees. And causing lots of problems. Well, this guy did, it was a fluke, really. I don't know whether it was proper research he did initially, but he was having lots of problems with his bees, lots of fleas and disease and illness, and lots were dying. So somebody recommended 1 piece of Shungai and he put it in front of the beehive. The difference was almost immediate.
Wow.
So significant drop in death, significant drop in virus disease with the bees, less were dying. And so he got the, because you can get crushed up dust, you know, the Shungai dust, and he painted the outside. Not only did he significantly then, almost down to nothing, reduce the death of the bees, he also increased the honey production and everything else. And what he discovered was that these bees that are flying around and affected by all the EMFs or the 5 and 4G, when they go inside the hives that are then surrounded in Shungai, they rest and heal. How incredible is that? So my husband's like, we are not painting the house with Shungai. But wouldn't it look lovely black?
You know, when you were saying that, then I was thinking, well, I've got a bee hotel on the front of my house. I'm going to have to put something out there now.
So what I did was I got, it was like an insect nest type thing, but bees could go in it. I don't know the difference between honeybees and regular bees and all that, but there were a few coming towards the brickwork of the house. So I had a chat with them and I said, if I buy you a nice house, can you go over there, please, near the trees? So I bought this house and I put them a piece of Shungai in it. I don't know whether they use it. I don't think so, but insects do. They do. Yeah. But Shungai is incredible. So I am being patient, not so patient, you know.
The power that comes off it, and it must work because my husband, he got hold of one of my balls one day.
Did he?
One of my Shungai balls, yeah. And he was like, what's this? I said, it's Shungai. He went, ooh. I like this. And so I bought him a couple and he uses them all the time. Yes. So for him to really, you know, feel that as well.
Yes.
The power that comes off of it.
Yeah.
It's incredible. And I noticed the first piece I got was just that one. And the second I put that next to my laptop, I felt different.
Oh,
I felt completely different.
Yes. Yeah.
And so it does work.
Yeah, absolutely. And a client I had in for healing yesterday, she was absolutely petrified about 5G. She said, of all the things, Yvette, that bother me, and I said, you don't need to worry about, don't get into that fear state, because that's what's going to make you, your frequency drop. That's, you know, bringing illness. Whatever they throw at us, there is something on the planet that will bat it straight out into the stratosphere. And Shungai and orgone is one of those. We don't need to go there, do we? We don't need to. And the right information always finds us at exactly the right time. It does. Yeah, it does.
It does.
I love it.
It's amazing.
I love it. Gotten off topic again. So what was I saying? Your course. How long? Just tell me how long.
So the course itself, there's several parts to my course.
Right.
So one of the main parts is a manual, which it's dependent on what format you get it in. It's between 160 and 200 pages long. It's very, very informative. It tells you all of the types of equipment that you need to get if you're going to do it online.
Is this in your book, Laura? Is it all in there? Yeah. Lovely.
That's the manual. and it breaks it down step by step, every single part of what you need to do to do the technique. So if you come on the course, you get that. You also get 31 pre-recorded videos. So it used to be 24, but I've added an extra 7 on now for beginners. So you get 31 pre-recorded training videos, which will talk you through how to do it. Then you come on 3 live days with me. And on the first day, I will talk you through the technique. I'll tell you the more advanced things that you can do with it. And we'll cover off resistant clients, the online voice, things like that, the hypnotic voice. Day 2, I do a live entity release.
You set yourself up there, didn't you?
Oh my God. I still, every time I go into one of these courses, I still think to myself, what are you doing?
This ain't the best for you.
And last week, literally, I did Australia and New Zealand, because I'm doing one every other week now.
Yes, time zones, isn't it?
Every other week. So last week was Australia and New Zealand, and I literally, in the live entity release, had a demon, which is one of the worst ones, as we know.
They're tricky, aren't they, too?
Really tricky.
Navigate,
and an earthbound spirit.
Yes.
So, but I got to demonstrate, obviously, the 2 different types of entity release techniques, because we use a different one dependent upon whether it's and then on day 3, as well as covering off how to actually do entity release on day 2, on day 3, then I demonstrate the full live session. So you get to see the pre-session chat, how I talk to the client through that pre-session chat. You get to see the safety checks that I do with people before, because they're really, really important to make sure that we are setting everything up for success and for safety. And then I demonstrate the full session. So if there's an entity release, we do that at the front end. The past life regression, or quantum travel, or channeling, whichever one it is that the client decides
we never know.
We never know until we get in there.
Right.
And then the final section, which is the higher self section.
Fantastic.
So you get to do all of that. And then obviously, if you come on the course as well, you get 2 certificates, one to say that you're trained in my technique, and one to say that you have conducted the course, how to conduct past life regression online. Because obviously, if you're doing CPD modules, then that can count towards one of your CPD modules. Which is continuous professional development for people that have done. I know there'll probably be many different people from different countries watching this thinking, what's she talking about, CPD? And then you have entry into a Telegram group where all of the practitioners go in there to network and exchange sessions with each other to get you practicing. And I'm just there and available for whenever anybody needs any help in terms of coaching for their voice, for their technique. And I just keep in touch with people, and I continually send other bits and bobs of videos out, training videos, to help bring people along in their journey. With obviously the ultimate end goal of that is I'm wanting to set up a huge healing centre, which is known as the Soul Centre for Healing Hypnosis, or even for healing, if we extend it out even further than that. And I want to set hubs up like that all over the world.
Oh, that would be brilliant. That would be absolutely brilliant. That's always been it's not even my dream. This will happen. A huge healing centre. We need them so much for quantum healing, for healing that works, healing that's fit for the 21st century and onwards. Things have to change now. It does. We can't move forward with the system that we have. We can't. It's crumbling. We can see it crumbling around us, can't we? And we have to move forward.
I see it like almost like the new hospitals, if you like.
Yes.
The 5D hospitals. Because they're healing hubs, aren't they? Where we use hypnotherapy, we use sound, we use crystals, we use light, whatever it is. It's but new healing modalities, and all of those people come together.
Centres of excellence, it has to be. And also centres of teaching. So we're handing that it will be ancient knowledge, because we've got it, it's come from here, and we have to be able to hand that on, and it be pure in that respect, that it's not adulterated by any organisation or anything. It has to be done properly.
I agree completely.
That's beautiful.
So hopefully the universe will manifest that for us.
Absolutely. So if somebody wants a session either with you or a session Soul Centre Healing, or wishes to train, how do they get hold of you? How do they go about that?
So if they go to www.schhhofficial.com,
as well.
yeah, and that's the official website for the Soul Centre Healing Hypnosis technique. They can find out more about the technique on there. All of my practitioners who are ready to take external paying clients are listed on there. Yourself is listed on there.
I love it. I love it.
And if they wanted to book a session specifically with me, then they can get me on.
They can just contact you.
Yeah,
fantastic. Is there anything else, Laura, that you want people to know about Soul Centre Healing Hypnosis? Anything that we've not mentioned yet?
I think one of the main things for me is just for people to have an openness around the idea of entity removal. I think some people don't want to consider it because it's dark. You know, they don't want to look over in that dark corner. You know, it's a little bit dark over there. Don't really think I'm into entity release.
And you know, the thing I say to clients when they come, you need not worry, because you sat in a chair in front of me about to have your session. And if you have an attachment, it's been there a long time. And you haven't worried about it up until this point, have you? So, and we're about to do the session. So let's just relax and just allow, you know, whatever it is, you know, if there is anything, just allow it to come through. Allow it to, so that we can help.
And that's exactly it right there. It's for the client to have that understanding that that entity is there.
Yes.
It is already attached. It has been with them probably for years.
Long time.
so don't have any fear around.
Stress about it now.
Don't have any fear around the process. Just if you go through this process, this technique, at the other side of it, you're going to feel amazing.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And the more people that we can train, the more people that we can educate around entity, what they actually are, because many people, it's a step too far for them. They just won't even look at it. They just think, that sounds a bit dark to me. I'm a light worker. I want to be a light worker over here with all the light people being light, which is brilliant.
Seeing butterflies and fairies.
Which is brilliant. And, you know, you and I love butterflies and fairies.
We do.
But it takes some
where there's dark, there's light.
Correct. And it takes some really, really incredible light warriors to still be the light, but come into that space and
step within that space.
I am light, but I can face the dark, and I can help you to transition towards the light and remove your energy somewhere else. And that will not affect me being the light.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And they're the people that I would say, you know, if you feel that is you, then they're the people that need to come and train.
They are.
And I
100%.
I'll take you through that process. And I've met some incredible light warriors all over the world that they just know. They know they've got it inside them to do this.
They do. They do. And they're drawn to it, aren't they? They're drawn to this technique. Yeah.
It's standing in your power and knowing no matter what darkness you uncover under that rock, you are the light, and no matter what, you will shine.
Absolutely. And you know, the other thing that I love about Soul Centre Healing is that, and in the Telegram group, there's such a family, such a support within there. So because the first time, you know, it can be a little bit scary the first time you come across it, training or no training, you think, oh my God. But then when you do and you think, oh my God, that was incredible. Not only have we helped the client, that energy, that entity, that earthbound spirit, we've helped them to the light or to the place within the light where they belong. That's an incredible thing to do. It is. But to know that you've just got somebody to bounce that session off within the group, it's, you know, you're not just left to your own devices thinking, what the hell just happened? You're not. There's so much support there within your community, within the community of Soul Centre Healing. It's beautiful.
It's like a family, isn't it?
It is. It is. I love it. I love it. I love it.
I love it as well. I think there's some truly, truly, truly incredible souls that are practicing this technique all over the world now. And I personally feel so grateful to be a part of that. I really, really do.
Beautiful, beautiful. Laura, this has been absolutely amazing. Absolutely amazing. I love you to bits. You do so much work. So much work. Honestly, sometimes you're like Superwoman. Superwoman. And I'm sure everybody will get so much from just listening to all your information about Soul Centre Healing. Thank you. Thank you so much
for today. And you know, Yvette, it is always an absolute pleasure to see you. You are the most brightest light in the world.
Thank
And,
you.
the skill that you have, not only are you the most incredible hypnotherapist that's trained in
Thank
every
you.
modality,
Oh,
but you
thank
have
you.
this unique skill of this remote entity removal,
Oh, I know.
which, and you talk about, sometimes thinking that I'm Superwoman. I am not. You are literally Superwoman. The, the
Oh, bless
skill
you.
that the skill that you have, I mean, wow.
My
Wow.
superpower is definitely inner vision. I have been
Yeah.
gifted with that.
Yeah. And I just feel so
Oh,
grateful that you
thank
are my
you.
friend and soul
Oh,
sister.
you too. I love you so much. Thank you, my darling. Lots of love. Bye
Take
bye.
care.